You know, with interest rates being where they are and the number of resale homes, that inventory level being so low right now, a whole lot of you are actually turning to the new construction communities in your search for your new home. And I get that because if you look at it, these builders today are offering some pretty incredible incentives. Now, I know you're looking for a new construction home because, frankly, you're watching this video. So to help you out and make things go a little bit easier for you throughout the process, I put together 8 different things that I think you need to be aware of when building a new construction home. Now, for well over a decade, I've been helping buyers just like you as they relocate to the Phoenix metro area, and I really hope that I get to help you soon as well. So let's just jump right into this. The first thing that you need to do, if you haven't already done so, is you need to get yourself pre-qualified, if not pre-approved, with a lender. Starting to talk with lenders now will actually give you time to choose which lender you actually want to work with. You can shop the rates around and figure out their different loan products, and you'll get the best overall loan for your particular situation. Plus, being pre-qualified will give you an idea of what you can actually afford so that you're looking in the right price range. Now, I say this a lot, but there's not many things that actually kick you in the stomach harder than falling in love with a home only to find out later that you really don't even qualify for it and you can't afford it. And speaking of lenders, the big box lenders, you know, these nationwide banks and loan companies, they're fine. They get the job done. But in my experience, working with a local lender who has access to a wide variety of loan products actually makes the process much more manageable. Now, we'll talk more about lenders here in just a minute. So next up is don't go at this alone. You really do need to hire a realtor. I know a lot of people, and back in the day I had it too, you think that the sales rep in that sales office represents you when you go in to purchase a home. But the reality is they work for the builder. And so that's who they're representing. That's who their duties and their loyalties are to, is to that builder. Now, I do work with a lot of builder sales reps, and they're great people, but he or she, like I said, does answer to the builder first and foremost. Now, they'll facilitate the process and they'll get the paperwork done, and they do have a duty to treat you fairly and to be honest with you, but it's really unlikely that they'll be your true advocate because, again, they're employed by the builder. Now, your own real estate agent actually has a fiduciary responsibility to act in your best interest and to put your interests ahead of everybody's, including their own. And you know, there's this myth that just seems to perpetuate year after year, and that is that if you go to a new build community and you don't have a realtor, you'll actually get a better deal on the price of the home because the builder doesn't have to pay a realtor's commission. Well, guess what? That's a myth. It's not true. It's not accurate. That is not how it works. You see, long before they ever broke ground on this project, builders have already built the cost of paying a buyer's agent commission into their projected costs and expected profits. And in most cases, they don't negotiate on price. So if you purchase a home from a builder and you don't have an agent representing you, that money that the builder would have spent on the agent's commission actually just goes right back into that builder's pocket. And since it's the builder that pays the buyer's agent's commission, there's not really any out-of-pocket expenses to you. But don't hire just any old realtor. You need somebody who is experienced and well-versed in the new construction industry. That big-name mega agent in your town who does a ton of resale business, well, obviously he's pretty good at what he does. But if they're unfamiliar with the new construction process, which is completely different from the resale process, then they are going to be of little to any help at all, and they might even be a hindrance to the entire process. So here's a quick little story. The other day, Angie and I were finishing up our lunch at our favorite Mexican restaurant, and as we were walking away from our table, we were stopped by a couple at a nearby table, and it was Rich and Judy, who I don't know, but they knew us because they watched this YouTube channel, and according to them, they're big fans. Well, thank you so much for watching. We do appreciate it. We had a great conversation with them, but what they told me actually just kind of reinforces in a very real world kind of way the things that I've been talking about, not only in this video, but in all my other videos as well. Now, about a year ago, they moved here from another state, and when they came, they didn't have a realtor that they worked with. They didn't know what they didn't know, and according to them, they hadn't found me yet. Well, like I said, without any representation, and really, if you ask Rich, by following his hunger because he wanted to live close to restaurants, they went into a new build sales office and picked out their home. Now, throughout that build process, they had issue after issue after issue, and even after being in their home for about a year now, they're still having issues with the builder. Well, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I can tell you this: during the same time frame that they were building their home, I was helping 8 clients build homes within that same community during that same time frame, and we had very few, if any, issues throughout their whole build process. So if you think going into the new build process you don't need to have a realtor representing you, well, Rich and Judy would beg to differ. All right, moving along, now let's talk about the earnest money deposit. Did you know that when you go in and sign that contract, you're going to need to put down a certain amount of money as an earnest money deposit? And these deposits can range anywhere from $5,000 to $70,000, depending on the price point of the home you're buying, the location, and the particular builder. And that is cold, hard cash that's laid out at the time of the contract signing. Builders figure that since they're carrying 97% of the home cost up front until the closing day, they want the buyers to have some skin in the game as well, and that's usually about 3%. Now, it's important to understand that this deposit does go towards your down payment, so it's not an expense, it's not a fee that you pay. It does go towards your down payment, but it is money that you do need to have up front at the time of signing your contract. But just know that in all but a few rare circumstances, if you back out of the deal for any reason, you're going to forfeit that earnest deposit, and the money that you put down, it won't be coming back to you in most cases. I got to throw that in there. And since we're talking about money, now's a good time to go into a little bit more detail on lenders. Now, you're free to use whatever lender you want. Nobody's going to dictate who you borrow money from, but you may want to consider using the builder's preferred lender. And here's why. The builders always offer incentives, but the ones they're offering today are pretty incredible. They're offering closing cost assistance, maybe some design center credits, but the really popular one right now is they're offering to buy down your interest rates. However, obtaining these incentives, well, it's based on you using the builder's preferred lender. And it's important that you understand that that preferred lender, in many cases, is actually owned by the builder. Now, the next thing you want to consider is, do you want to build from the ground up, or do you want to build a spec home? And spec homes are sometimes called quick move-in homes or inventory homes as well. And what a spec home is, it's a home that the builder has already begun construction on. They've already predetermined all of the options, so you as the buyer have no say as to what upgrades or what structural options are going to go into this house. Think of it like a car dealership. You go on the lot and you can buy the red SUV or you can buy the gray sedan, but you can't add to, swap out, or interchange any of the features between the two cars. Now, a benefit of a spec home is you can move into it a lot quicker than you can if you're building a home from the ground up because it's already under construction. Now, if you do choose to build from the ground up, it's going to take longer. You should plan on about a 10-month build time. But the benefit is you do get to select your structural options and you get to pick out all of your interior design options. So you get to customize it your way. Okay, now before we move on, if you're finding value in this video, please give me a like or a thumbs up. Maybe consider subscribing to the channel and clicking on that bell. That way you'll be notified every time a new video gets uploaded. Also, over the years, I've developed a really good working relationship with almost all of the home builders here. And so if you are thinking about building a home here in Queen Creek or Santan Valley or anywhere in this area, give me a call. I'll do whatever I can to help you get into that new home. All right, let's move on to the next topic. You know what? Mistakes are going to be made. That's part of the process. But usually the mistakes that happen kind of work themselves out throughout the build process. You see, the builder has checks and balances that are put in place through their own inspections and through city inspections, and typically, most of the big items anyway, get resolved on their own. But as President Ronald Reagan used to say, trust but verify. And how do you do that? Well, it's through hiring a third-party home inspector. Now, there's 2 points throughout the build process that I recommend having a home inspection done. The first is at what's known as the pre-drywall or the frame walk. This is a walk that you take with the construction manager just before the drywall goes up, so everything that will be behind the walls is still exposed. So you want to have this inspection done a couple of days prior to that walk so that you have the inspection report back, and you can take the things that were found during that report, give them to the construction manager, and most of the time they will take care of those items and correct any issues that came up. The other time you want to have a home inspection done is a couple of days prior to your final walkthrough, and that happens about a week before you actually get your keys. So at that walk, the builder will have a punch list of items that still need to be taken care of, and you'll go through and together you'll add more items to that punch list. Well, if you've done a home inspection a couple of days previous to that, you can give the results of that inspection to the builder, and they'll incorporate those issues into their punch list so that over the course of the next week, all of those issues are resolved before you actually take possession of the home. And another thing that I've noticed is that for all of you who are coming from another state to Arizona, understanding the difference between signing and closing is really important. Apparently, Arizona, it's all I know, but apparently it's different from all the rest of y'all. You see here, signing and closing are 2 separate independent activities that usually take place a couple of days apart from each other. So as I understand it, in a lot of other states, when you go to your signing, you sign all of your loan documents on your closing day and you're given the keys to your new home. But that's not the case here. You see, signing here occurs anywhere between 1 and 3 days prior to your closing date. So in other words, if your closing date falls on a Wednesday, you very well might be signing all of your paperwork on the prior Monday. But even though you've signed everything, you still don't own the home, because by the time Wednesday comes, that's when all of the paperwork goes through its processes to everywhere that it needs to go, and the county recorder's office receives the documentation that they need and your loan funds. Now, once that happens, once the recorder has the documentation they need, that new deed gets recorded, and that's when ownership transfers from the builder to you, and that's when you'll get your keys to the home. So that's all I've ever known, because I'm an Arizona native and I've lived here my whole life. But apparently that's different than how a lot of you do it elsewhere. So just keep that in mind when you come here. All right, so there's 8 things that I think you should be aware of when building a new construction home that will just, if you understand that, it'll make that whole process go a little bit more smooth for you. So if you are considering making a move to the Phoenix area, and more specifically the Southeast Valley, we would absolutely love to help you with that. Give us a call. Let's get together. We offer free consultations. You know, you can call us, text us, whatever. I'll put our contact information at the end of the video, but there's an even easier way to get a hold of me. There's a link in the description of this video. Just click on that link and you can schedule your own private Zoom call with me. Now, if you want to know more about Queen Creek in general, that's the video to watch. And if you want to know more about the new build construction process and things to look out for, then you're going to want to watch this video right here.